believe me, it took me a lot to understand that. But now that my daughter, I have been divorced for like almost 2 years,
Mm.
probably. And it was a very hard for my daughter because it was all the sudden that a decision that I need to take. But I understood that I cannot pressure him, and thankfully I didn't need him economic financially.
Mm-hmm.
But even though if you need your ex financially, it's only because of your kids, not because of you. Like you need to have the tools to teach your daughter or your son how things needs to be done. Like you have to progress, you have to improve, you have to overcome by your own means, and they have to see that their parents can talk to each other for their well-being and not to take all this drama to them. It's not fair. It's not fair because they need both. They need the father and they need the mother. So don't take.
Yeah, I know that society has been trying to tell us for a very long time that they don't need both, and they
They
mostly
need both.
need the mother.
And I
But
can see my daughter.
yeah, it's absolutely
I
like
can see. I mean, she's
I
not.
have a far perspective, but it's not true. That the reason why it takes two to actually
Make
make
a
life
life.
is because then the children need both.
And believe me, like you, I mean, you're my best friend. You know how it it has been hard to sometimes communicate with my ex-husband.
Hmm.
Is sometimes it's amicable, but when it's not, it's just nuclear war. Like we have had, like we can have the most like good co-parenting for
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 months,
Great cooperation and
but then
agreements.
there's an issue and there's like a second world war, like like it's explodes. But I mean, we need to learn to meet in the middle for the sake of my daughter, and I think she's doing great. Sometimes she thinks because she's with her dad,
Mm-hmm.
she can do whatever he wants, and her dad's, or vice versa. But one thing we have learned is like no, like the same rules apply here or applies there.
Well, that's when there is communication.
Yeah. That, and if your ex doesn't want to communicate, you don't. That's what I learned too. Like don't stop communicating because otherwise,
Yeah.
even if you don't have any response,
Yeah, that's my point. Is like I like to communicate a lot, and I'm facing someone who doesn't whatsoever, and I don't know what is the position, what is where it's heading, and when I'm trying to persevere and get a response, I get like a elevated response, like because I ask a question, then no response, the second one, the third one, the fifth one, and apparently it's pressuring, and then I
Mhm.
get the blah all over my face. And I'm like, why didn't you just respond calmly the first time? And it's really hard to deal with because it's like when you divorce, you basically you're saying I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Yeah.
And the thing is that it happens for people who don't have kids, but when you have kids, you need to deal with each other,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're not on the same. You're not running the same race, and whether the same race or at the same pace, and it's really hard to meet. Like for me, the lack of communication is always like very hard, but at the same time, I guess it's really convenient not to communicate that much either because it gets things like divided. Because you build habits after years and years of marriage. You build habits of concerting each other, or whether it's like you have the last word of the decision or not, or you think we make you think that you have decision making
Mhm.
power at some point or not, or it's just like strategy and manipulation. But anyway, you're used to concert and ask for opinion,
Mhm.
and then it's like, no, I don't want that anymore. This is negative for me. This is I don't I'm not progressing with this, and I need
Mhm.
something else. And then it's like, okay, we still need to take care of our children, of our child, and you're trying to communicate, and it's just like silence, and you're like, but this is like the most important thing. We don't care about us. The two of us is over.
Mm.
This is about our child. This is like the priority. Why I don't get like a response when, and
Just
and I think like from me, that's a struggle that I have, is that once the communication starts, like I do more and more and more and more, and I think that's the way like she's dealing with it. It's like if I give him like this, then he will start communicating about everything, and I don't want that, because then that means it's still part of my life, and that's not what I want. And and for me, like I I still feel like the comfort also of not having communication to make, because it's one thing to sign the paper that you're divorced or whatever, but after, over years and years and years of marriage, yeah, you still have this mindset that, at least if you committed during marriage, you have this mindset that this was for life or whatever, and you really, well, I mean, in my case, like I really committed to it, even though I did my mistakes as well, and I'm sure it didn't translate this way to her in many occasions.
Mhm.
But for me, like the root of it all is like, okay, yeah, that's what it is. It's for life. So once you know that it's not going to, but you just can't take it anymore. Like it's whether you decide to have a life of like being miserable,
Mhm.
or just to let go and have the consequences, because
Mhm.
you have consequences. The things that I didn't know I would have like that much consequences, because I'm not a bad person to start with. So it's not like I didn't feel I deserve. I felt like all the efforts that I made were not leading towards that.
Yeah, at least I mean, you didn't do anything so bad to have these consequences. Like the worst
Yeah.
thing that you,
But even
yeah,
like the
the worst thing that
dynamic.
the worst thing that you did is decide that okay, this is not working. We need to get
Mm-hmm.
divorced,
Yeah.
right? That for you felt like that was like like you were declaring war to her, when it was only like okay, I need to get divorced because this is not working for you and for me and for our daughter.
I like for me, I feel like at some point in your life, like, and I think we're the same about that. Is like we believe in progress,
Mm-hmm.
and if you don't progress in life, like if you're not a better person at 30 that you were at 20, and if you're not a better person at 40 that you were at 30, that means that you wasted a lot of time doing like stupid shit,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. And I mean, we like, to have fun and party and stuff like that, but we also like to nurture
This is
and
part of our
and
process.
and learn
Super
and
right now is
y-
part of our
yes.
process.
And right now, I mean, you like to learn and you like to progress. Like I feel really frustrated when I don't progress. I feel
Mm-hmm.
really frustrated when I'm facing an issue and I don't find the solution. And I know some people that are facing the issue and they're like, taking another route doesn't matter. And for me, it's like, no, I need to find the
So
solution
that
to
was
this.
your marriage?
This needs to go. No, it's not like it was my marriage, but it's just really difficult at some point to accept the fact that you were wrong, to
Mm-hmm.
make it happen, to have negative consequences because you wanted to always your family to be in a balanced environment,
Mm-hmm.
which means like staying together and not be divorced. And then you're like, no, I think it's going to be better if I feel better, if I'm a better person, I can bring more to my child. If I'm miserable, um, and 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 I come back home miserable, this will have impact on my child. So you have to choose. It's like, okay, yeah, so you have the happy, well, whatever, like
Happy.
still married, but you're like coming back home and be miserable, or like not miserable, but like
You were miserable or
in
not? Okay, from
inconsistent.
yeah, like were you? I was
Inconsistent.
miserable. I was miserable.
Well, okay, you can say that, but it didn't show. Like when I was, well, when I
No,
was
I
seeing
for
you when you
me
were married.
it's when I started smoking. Like I stopped smoking for like 7 years, and when we start having big issues, I was like feeling very anxious going back home, so I started smoking like crazy.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
that's I mean,
No, I
I
mean, I
could
didn't get there.
have I could have stayed with him. I could have because he wanted to, but I didn't want that for my life. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to. like have a dull life. Like, okay, I am married, I am not happy, but I am fine.
Mm-hmm.
And my daughter, it's fine. It's fine. But then I was like, no, I don't want that for my life. I don't want to go back every day at home feeling miserable because I didn't I mean, I have always thought that you should be with someone that makes you um progress. That's what we think
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And that wasn't my case. And on top of that, I was feeling miserable and I was feeling like crap, and that brought me a lot of anxiety. So that's when I started to smoke.
Mm. Cigarettes, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, cigarette,
Nicotine.
but Marlboro, by the way.
Great.
So but it was a very traumatic, like probably 6 months, seven
Damn.
months, and but still, I found in my daughter's future or in my daughter's state of mind the comfort to take the best decisions for her,
Mm-hmm.
which was, yeah, you don't I don't want my daughter to think that it's normal to live in a place, in a house where there's a lot of lack of respect, where it's yelling, where it's cursing, when all this negative dynamic. That's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want my daughter to think that's normal, because that's why there's a lot of people
Yeah.
accepting shit and crap from other of their
Yeah. I'm just thinking it's a normal
yeah,
relationship,
it's
and
not.
yeah.
It's not. So I rather think that my daughter comes from a broken home, but instead of living in a broken home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you take the most important decisions from, like, okay, she's coming from a broken home, but needs her dad, and she needs her mom entirely, 100%. So I rather like put my shit together, and her dad needs to put his shit together in order to co-parent,
To make it work, yeah.
to make it work. And it's very hard. It's super hard. But in the moment that you stop thinking for the well-being of your children,
You
you
stop
know,
thinking?
yeah, because you stop thinking about their well-being. You start thinking about what you want. And of course, what you want is to punish the other person because they did wrong to you. They hurt you.
Okay, I think. Can you repeat that?
Yes, when you stop thinking about your kids' well-being, and
When you stop thinking about your kids' well-being,
you start thinking about your what you want,
and you start with thinking about what you want.
yeah,
Yes.
as a person, when you're getting divorced, like
Mm-hmm.
you want, if you start thinking of what you want to punish the other guy. You want to give
Mm-hmm.
crap. So that's
So why do you
one,
stop thinking about your?
because you let your emotions take over.
Okay, okay, yeah. It didn't come out right.
No, okay. I need to pee.
It's, I hope this will come out right.
Peace. Peace before justice. I mean, if you really, really, really need them
She
to
just
give
came
you
back from peeing. Like she's really like just words coming. Cooperate, co-parenting, peace before
yeah.
justice. Yes. No. What? Okay.
So if you really, really, really,
And
again,
yeah, now I need to pee. See, you repeat
if
this word.
if you really need your ex for child support, it's. I mean, they have to do it. It's they have to do it. It's your right. But if you don't, just teach your kids a lesson and just let go.
Yeah, and we told you 75% in English max. That's all we can do.
I think I'm in a 50. Go and pee.
Yeah, me
You didn't want to pee?
always, but I can hold it for.
You can
a little
hold
bit.
it?
Yes.
Hold up. Wait a minute. It's a chop.
It's
It's a chop. Hold on. Wait a minute. It's
It's
a
a 22.
22.